The instructional design model I have chosen for my interactive learning module is the Assure model. It was developed by Hynek, Melinda, Russell, and Smaldino and is based on Gagne's 9 events of instruction. Assure is an acronym for Analyze Learners, State Objectives, Select Media and Materials, Utilize Media and Materials, Require Learner Participation, and Evaluate and Revise. I will now go into more detail about each step of the design model. Analyze learners. During this step, you will want to research the general characteristics of your students, such as their gender, age, preferred learning styles, and motivations. State objectives. Here you will develop specific and measurable objectives for your lesson or unit. Select media and materials. During this step, you will select the materials and media to use in your lesson. During this point, you should also develop and modify materials you already have. Utilize media and materials. During this part of the planning process, you implement the materials you selected, developed, and modified. Prior to implementing your media and materials, you should test them to ensure that the selections all meet your objectives, work appropriately with your lesson and students, and your students can access the materials easily. Require learner participation. This is pretty self-explanatory. You have your learners participate through discussions, games, simulations, or assessments. All of your activities need to allow the learners to apply their knowledge and understanding of the content. Evaluation. During this final phase of the process, you will evaluate whether or not the objectives were met. You do this by revisiting the presentation methods to see if the media and materials you selected were appropriate for your lesson or not. You should also edit your materials if necessary. The Assure model is the best choice for my instructional needs and my interactive learning module because it is very simple and easy to follow. There are not any unnecessary steps to follow, and it covers all the bases for things needed to create a module and a lesson. From the beginning to the end, this model is student-focused. The very first step is intended to understand who your learners are and how to help them be successful when you start planning your module. Questions you can ask yourself are, how do they learn best? What motivates them? How old are they? That last question will help you decide on materials and activities that are age and developmentally appropriate. The purpose of the last step is to ensure your students learned everything you intended and if your lesson and module worked as you hoped. If it did not, then you need to revise with your learners in mind. The Assure model will give me a specific plan to follow for my interactive module and any other units and lessons that I develop in the future. This model has a clear design process to follow and takes me step by step through planning my modules and lessons. By using the Assure model, I will remain focused on my learners and their needs, which will lead me to select appropriate and relevant materials and media. One additional piece of information that I learned while researching the Assure model is that this model is described as one in which teachers and trainers can use to design and develop the most appropriate learning environment for their students. I like this quote because it brings the focus back to the students, the most important part of any learning model. The following link leads to a blurb about the Assure model written by Sharon Smaldino, one of the contributors to this model. You can find it at www.instructionaldesign.org/models/assure.html. This visual shows how the model can be used throughout a semester and when each step takes place. It starts before the semester begins when you analyze your learners. Prior to instruction is when you're going to prepare and you're going to state your objectives. Instruction begins when you select your methods, media, and materials, and utilize your media and materials. During instruction is when you require your learner participation. And at the end of the semester is when you evaluate and revise. I hope you were able to learn something new from watching this video today.